Hello fellow Rush fans, my name is Jamie, aka Getty's Mullet on Twitter, and Abby, aka Daily Rush Lyrics, messaged me asking me if I wanted to film this Q&A video for the channel. And I like the concept of a YouTube channel for Rush fans to discuss Rush, because it seems like a really awesome community. So I picked the questions that you guys asked Abby because they're really interesting. So here we go. Alright, so the first question is, gun to your head, choose 10 songs to eliminate. Okay, the first one I would definitely choose is Tai Shan, and I think a lot of Rush fans can agree that it's not the best Rush song. Even Getty has said so himself that it's his least favorite. I would also probably choose High Water. I'm also really not a fan of Prime Mover. As you can tell, Hold Your Fire is my least favorite album. I would also probably choose Dog Years and Time in Motion. So I think that's about 4 or 5 right there. I'm really not sure what other songs I would choose. So the second question is, what is your least favorite Rush album? And like I just mentioned, I would definitely pick Hold Your Fire because compared to all their previous albums, it just doesn't sound like Rush. It doesn't have that prog-ish sound. It just kind of seems like it's very awkwardly placed in their whole catalog. But I still do like some of the songs on it. It's just, I've tried so hard to get myself into it, but I just can't, no matter how many times I try. The third question is, what album would you recommend to someone who wants to listen to Rush? I would say that depends on the kind of music that they listen to. If they like really long prog songs, I would probably do 2112. But in general, I think Moving Pictures is a good one to stick with because it has the classics like Tom Sawyer, YYZ, Limelight, and Red Barchetta. But it also has The Camera Eye, so it features that really long prog track. But I think overall, it's very well-rounded, and it kind of showcases like all the kind of music that they do. The fourth question is, do you think Time Stands Still equals the end of touring, and is there any chance of a new album? I don't know, because, you know, there's still something inside me that has like a tiny glimmer of hope, but I guess I'm just too optimistic that there will be something that they do in the future. Obviously not right away, within the next 5 years maybe. I could see Getty and Alex maybe doing something on the side, but I would say that it does kind of conclude their tour because of the pain that Alex and Neil go through just to perform. I just don't think it's really worth it, and they can always do something on the side. They've done 40 plus years of tours, and they used to do such intense tours back in the day that even if it's over, 40 years, that's good enough, right? And the second part of the question is, any chance of a new album? I would say maybe not too immediate. I could definitely see like solo albums, maybe from Getty. I really hope Getty does a solo album because My Favorite Headache was really good. But I still stand strong in my belief that Alex should do stand-up comedy because he's one of the funniest guys on the planet. And he did do a stand-up comedy act where I think he told stories about touring or something like that. He needs to do stand-up comedy. Or at least be in a TV show or movie and have like a major role and not just like a one-liner type thing. I swear his interviews make me laugh all the frickin' time. Question number 5 is, how did you get into Rush? What was the first album that you listened to, and when did you first see them? So I first saw them in November 2012 when I was 15, and I got into them more like afterwards. I did know some of their like bigger hits as a kid because my dad is like a huge Rush fan. I remember like watching Rush in Rio when I was a kid, and I remember asking my dad, how many people are in this band? And he told me 3. And I was just like completely mind blown because how can 3 guys make all this music? And plus I also really liked the little dragon that they had before One Little Victory, and we always told my dad, put on the Dragon DVD. But I got into them more after I saw them because I kind of walked out of that show knowing like this is something that really makes me happy because I just saw how talented they were when they performed and their music was just so good that I was just really curious to hear the rest of their albums. So I just kind of started listening to more and more of their music after that. The first album that I listened to was Clockwork Angels because my dad would play it in his car all the time. I guess just hearing that, I'm not sure like why it got me into them. I just really enjoyed it, and every time around we would hear it all the time. It was still so good. So I think that's why it got me into them. Question number 6 is, what is your favorite song on Hold Your Fire? I'm going to have to go with Force 10. I think the reason for that is because when I saw them the first time, you know how when you're at a concert and you just kind of stop and absorb everything around you? That was the song where I stopped and I was just like, this is amazing, they're so good, and the song is great. So I think that's kind of why it became my favorite song on Hold Your Fire, even though it's my least favorite album. I guess it just has a good memory to it. Number 7, this is kind of a tough one. Who is best at their instrument? I would say Neil, because personally I love drummers, and he works so hard during every single song at every single show, and he's so dedicated to it, and he puts in like all his work and all his energy into playing the drums, and I really admire that. Question number 8 is, what is your favorite album and era? My favorite album is actually turning 40 this year, and that is A Farewell to Kings, because it just kicks ass every single time I listen to it. And my favorite era would probably have to be probably 70s or the current era, because, you know, the 70s, I think that was like kind of their prime. I know a lot of people might disagree and say the 80s, but, you know, I'm a fan of like the big long prog tracks and all that. And I also really like the current era, because, you know, Snakes and Arrows, Vapor Trails, Clockwork Angels, they all have that like kind of like a metal sound to it. So just like music wise, I would say both 70s and today. Question number 9 is, what is the song that got you into Rush? Well, the song that got me into them was Wish Them Well, because for starters, I was like addicted to Clockwork Angels, and that album was like the one that got me into them. The reason why Wish Them Well got me into them is because at that time I had like this big fight with someone who was my friend for a really long time, and that song just helped me realize it's best to like part ways and just, you know, like the song says, wish them well. I guess I just kind of took advice from that song. It continued my obsession with Rush. Alright, that's all the questions for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you, Abby, for asking me to be a part of this channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video.